Well, what else is State Daddy up to keep us safe? I'm so glad you asked. Another story that graced our headlines today is that of the Commonwealth Bank refusing to allow a customer to buy $10,000 worth of cryptocurrency. Why? Oh, to keep you safe. We'd hate to see you scammed. We don't want you to fall foul of fraud. That would be terrible. Commbank says they're doing this to protect the customer, placing a 10 grand cap monthly on any customer who wants to spend their money purchasing cryptocurrency instead. Of course, you don't have to be very intelligent to figure out that actually this is very much protecting Commbank as well. But get this, it's not just Commbank. ANZ have done this, Westpac have done this, NAB have done this. Not necessarily a $10,000 cap per month, but they all have their own versions, and all in the name of protecting you, the customer, by telling you what you can and can't spend your own hard-earned money on. This is just, again, nanny banks. Why don't you do that with gambling, since you're so worried about gambling? Say, oh, actually, sorry, Caleb, this is your 10 grand cap on sports bet this month, so we're not allowing you...
Only 10 grand?
To spend it on cryptocurrency, something that, should it go very, very well, would do the jolly banks out of business tomorrow. No, that, we're just trying to protect you from fraudulent activity.
If they won't let me put 10 grand in my TAB account every month, I am absolutely stuffed, it has to be said. But let's be logical here, right? If this is just about protecting people from fraud, then they ought to put a restriction on how many gift cards you can buy, because that is, of course, a common scam thing. They get people to buy Apple gift cards and whatever, so they should be restricting that at the same time. Telstra, Optus, all the telcos should be restricting how many text messages you're able to send, because, of course, that's the major way now that a lot of scams are proliferated. If that's what it was about, if it was all about protection, you would have controls on all of those things. But, of course, you don't have controls on all of those things, because it's simply about the bank protecting its own interest and telling you, well, we want the money with us, not over there in the cryptocurrency. Because if it, as you say, if it works, right, and if you want to spend 10 grand, 20 grand, 40 grand, 100 grand, I'm glad you've got 100 grand a month to spend on cryptocurrency. If you want to spend your money on that because you believe that is a safer place to keep your money, you should be well within your rights to do so. And we live in a country where the banking sector is heavily protected by the federal government. And for that protection, which is ultimately for the good of the nation, because if the banking sector collapsed tomorrow, a lot of people would lose money and we'd end up in great strife. But for that protection that we offer them, we should expect a certain level of service in return. And again, we are denied that, whether it's not having ATMs to take cash out, whether it's bank branches not dealing in cash, whether it's those bank branches not existing anymore. Now it's that you can't spend your money how you want. Regulation needs to come in ASAP.
Is it possible that both things are true at the same time, that the banks are acting entirely in self-interest and there is a duty of protection to consumers? The ACCC said Australians lost $1.5 billion to investment scams in 2022. I personally know people who have gone to the Commonwealth Bank after they invested in shonky things online and then said...
Yeah, but that isn't cryptocurrency. That's not any kind of investment. And that should just fall back on personal investment, like personal responsibility. If you are stupid enough to sink your funds into investment that turns out not to be viable, oh, well, it's not the bank's job to protect you from that happening.
I wish the bank had stopped me sending all my account details to that African prince who told me that I'd inherited $25 million. Unfortunately, they let me go ahead with it.
Mac, not their fault.
But you were talking about the opt-in, opt-out thing when it comes to vehicles. Why, if you want to invest in cryptocurrency, if they're trying to protect you from a scam, why couldn't you simply say to your bank, no, I opt out
there isn't
of
that
your
option.
Protections, I indemnify you from any responsibility, let me use my money as I wish.
Just be like, I'm a cryptocurrency person, I'll definitely be needing more than 10 grand per month to sink into this. I opt out. They don't have that option for the very self reason that we just discussed. The idea is not protecting you at all. The idea is controlling how you can spend your money, and you're certainly not taking out of our bank in wads that large. But the irony, of course, undermining all of this is the fact that this just highlights the need for cryptocurrency. Because in cryptocurrency, nobody cares. You can spend your money however you like. There's no cryptocurrency boss bank being like, I'm sorry, there's a lot of Bitcoin being spent by this particular account in that particular direction. There is no rules. Why? Because the money is yours and you get to spend it however the heck you want. As you should.
And you used the example of gambling before. You go on any bookie app and it will ask you if you want to set a deposit limit, right? So you have the option. If you feel that you have a gambling problem, you can set a deposit limit. The Commbank or any other bank could very easily, every time a large transaction happens, flag it and put up a message and say, are you sure you want to send this money? Are you being scammed? You can do it for every transaction over $10,000 and you hit the yes button and away it goes. If it's simply about asking the consumer to think twice about the money they're spending, they could do that. But they don't do that because, of course, they don't want you to spend that money on things that wouldn't interest them.